Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Half Baked. It's great to be here. Half Baked is a podcast where two of us, myself and Phil, will debate a contentious slash non-contentious issue. Not really an issue, an idea, I suppose. One of us has come up with an idea which has only been half baked, and the idea of this is that after 20, 25 minutes, we get to the end of it and we decide whether we're going to fully bake that idea or not. Do we love it? Are we backing it 100%? Or have we decided during the course of that chat that it's utter drivel and we're going to have to throw it in the bin? I'm joined, as always, by Phil. Phil, how are you doing?
Very good, Alistair. How are you?
Pretty good, thank you. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this week's episode. It's going to be a deep one, isn't it? As we know, Half Baked runs the full gamut from completely frivolous to very intense and deep. And I've got a feeling that this week's topic is going to be in at the deep end. But Phil, it's yours. So take it, blood you out of the way.
Yeah, it's quite controversial, I think. So let's go deep into it. So it's basically this. I don't believe in God. I don't go to church, but I describe myself as a Christian, and I think it's possible to be a Christian and not go to church and not believe in God, and that is my central tenet for today's podcast.
So if we kind of if we hone all that down into a few words, it's possible to be a Christian without believing in God. That's your half-baked idea.
That's my half-baked idea.
It sounds pretty half-baked to me. So would you like to, which is great, if it was anything else, wouldn't be allowed. The police would break in and stop the podcast. Would you like to elaborate a little bit about the idea? Because it kind of sounds a little bit wacky to me. I've always thought those two things have to be hand in hand.
Yeah, and for me, they don't. I mean, for me, the clue is in the name, Christianity. It's all about following the teachings of Christ, right? And I've always thought Christ is quite a great person to follow, right? I even celebrate his birthday. I don't do that with it. The only other person's birthday I celebrate is my own, maybe my kids, maybe my wife's. No, I don't really celebrate. I go out and buy presents for people on this guy's birthday, right? That's how much. I wouldn't do that for anybody else. That's how much I'm a big fan of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, a big fan. Yeah, you haven't even met him. He's getting on a bit now. He might not have even existed, but still, happy birthday, Jesus! Right. So why do you do that? That sounds ridiculous.
That's right. But I think if he did exist, and I think there's a lot of details to suggest that somebody like that did exist back then, and maybe we don't know exactly the day he was born, and maybe that actually doesn't really matter. But the idea of going around and telling people it'd be nice to be nice to people, that for me is the central tenet of Christianity: is love thy neighbor. Right? Maybe not those words. I wouldn't use normally in normal language use those words, but it's the idea of being nice to other people. Really be nice to other people. Is his main message, and there's a few other things in there. And I get that actually we don't know what he actually said because there was nobody with a cell phone taking any video or anything like that. Then there wasn't. Maybe there were pens. I don't even know. But the most of the things that were written down about him were written down 30 or 40 years after he died, and just what he'd said went around by word of mouth. So how accurate was it about what he actually said or did that got documented? Imagine you heard about somebody, heard about something, had done something. How changed that message would have got over that?
Absolutely.
Many
Chinese whispers and all of that.
Exactly.
Okay, so what we're saying there is there may or may not have been someone. There probably was. His word may or may not have been his. Some of them probably were. But he was one of the good guys, and the things that he espoused, or the people that followed him espoused on his behalf, are things that you value in your life as well. And what you're saying is, well, I don't need to believe in God in order to do that. So my cursory knowledge of the Bible and everything else is that Jesus was God, right? And I've never really got this, but there's God, the incarnate, God, the human, Jesus, and God, the vapor, where the Holy Spirit. So I've never really understood the argument for there needing to be a man God, but nevertheless, he is God. So how can you believe in the teachings of God without believing in God? Is my question.
Yeah, I don't believe any of that. It's all mumbo jumbo, as far as I'm concerned. I went to Sunday school as a kid, and yeah, totally into the idea of hearing all about Jesus and his kind of stories, kind of something kind of interesting. And but when it all
Donkey.
started, donkeys, yes. But when they started talking about God, I used to like just yeah, mumbo jumbo. Not interested in listening to any of that. I don't believe it. How is that going to make me a better person by believing in something that I can't prove is true or not? And if it's not going to really help, then why bother with that bit? Let's
Mm-hmm.
concentrate on the bit that really does help, which is
Mm-hmm.
being nice to other people.
Yep. Okay. So by nature here, you're kind of distinguishing between the Old Testament and the New Testament, aren't you? The Old Testament's mumbo jumbo. The New Testament is based on what Christ said, allegedly. Therefore, that's the bit that you would follow, right?
Yeah, anything in the Old Testament, who cares? Again, lots of stories. So what? And no, Jesus may have believed in the Old Testament. That's fine. I like Fight Club, but I don't believe Fight Club, right? So it's and I don't run my life because of Fight Club. Although there's some good things in there. But let's not. First rule: let's not talk about Fight Club, right? Yeah, it's all about. And again, you have to take it with a pinch of salt because it was written so long after he died by people
Yeah.
who possibly weren't there, and they got some of the detail, a lot of the detail wrong, and they will embellished it and blah 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 blah. But yeah, it's the Old Testament. So yeah, people who go, oh well, to be a Christian, you've got to. There's just things that say this and that in the Bible. Yeah, that's not
So
what I'm interested.
yeah, and the Old Testament was pretty nasty as well, wasn't it? There's a lot of like bad stuff went on there. I think an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth is an Old Testament teaching. It might even be one of the Ten Commandments. I don't know, but it's definitely in there, isn't it? That's not great. That's let's perpetuate violence. That's what that's saying. It isn't great. I don't think Jesus would have said that. Jesus would have said, "Forgive." I think
Yeah, he does. One of the main tenets is to forgive people.
forgiveness. Yeah.
Forgive
Okay.
others. Don't retaliate and forgive others.
Yeah. Exactly. And is that so? Are you a forgiving person? Are you a non-retaliatory person? Is that kind of is that a good example of one of these teachings that you live?
That's a great example. No retaliation, like ever.
What others?
So I did a bit of research last week to go through this, and I don't agree with everything that is associated with it. But be kind to others, love thy neighbour as yourself. Be honest, don't bear false witness. I'm a big fan of that.
Be honest. Good.
Yeah. Don't be a hypocrite. Practice. It's not, and I thought it was interesting. Apparently, there's a verse in the New Testament that says it's not the things we say that really matter; it's the things we do. I totally agree. Don't be self-righteous. No, and it followed on to in this particular article I was looking at saying no one's perfect. Take responsibility for your own behaviour. It's not our right to look down on, criticise, judge, condemn, or try to control other people. Okay,
Yep.
I'm on board with a lot of that. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's hard to ignore any of that. All right, but none of that is spiritual, is it? It's planted and rooted very firmly in, I don't know, being a good person.
Yeah.
So that's what you're saying. So therefore, it's like why the teachings of Christ? Then there are other religious persuasions which sort of say the same sort of thing, don't they? I'm not very up to speed on them, but you don't find. I think Buddhism is a very kind of forgiving, meek, humble, religion if you follow it. They're the sort of the traits that you'll end up having as well. So it's not even Christianity with you, is it? It's just kind of, is it more humanism?
For me, and I mean, these may be worthwhile things, and I don't really know. I wasn't brought up my parents were both Christians, so I wasn't brought up as a Buddhist. That also may be a fantastic way to view the world. Maybe being even Islam, all sorts of other religions may be fantastic, but I don't know about them in depth. And this idea of if I'm going to be something, I don't want to be known as an atheist, because that's a thing about not believing something. But there's all sorts of things I don't believe in. I don't believe there's a Lamborghini outside the house. I don't believe there's an elephant in the room next door. But that shouldn't then define me. Oh, you're a non-elephant believer. No, it's not. I don't want to be that to define me. I'd rather be defined by something that's something I do believe in. And I think these ideas behind Christianity are a great way to do it. But I don't want to be associated with any of the things that has to do with fundamentalist right in America, for example, which I don't really know that much about. But it just there seems to be this idea that there's all sorts of things that if you're a Christian, you've got to believe in, which I fundamentally don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think a key word here in this discussion is interpretation, isn't it? Because you are interpreting the bits of Christ's teaching that appeal to you, whereas the fundamental far-right evangelicals in the States are interpreting, probably the same core ideas and tenets in a completely different direction that would end up like it polarized to where you are around, I don't know, same-sex marriages and abortion and all of these sort of humanitarian issues. Yeah, so it's kind of interpreted. So you are interpreting in a way that satisfies you, and that's not a criticism. It just is what it is. It takes you in that particular direction, right?
Yeah, and I think some of the fundamentalist stuff is maybe to do with the Old Testament and things like that, and they try to justify their views based on that. Like I say, I'm not interested in that, because it doesn't for me doesn't have the values of a way to live that are going to be useful and make it heaven on earth.
Heaven on earth. That's right.
Great place to live. Let's to each other. So it's really worthwhile being alive.
Yeah, they say heaven loves comes first. They don't. Belinda Carlisle did. I've just looked up the definition of humanism. And humanism, here we go. I've taken this from the internet, so it must be right. Humanism is an outlook or a system of thought attaching prime importance to a human rather than divine or supernatural matters. Humanists believe and stress the goodness of human beings, emphasize common human needs, and seek solely rational ways of solving human problems. So that would be, I don't know, you feel like a humanist to me. And I know this isn't about kind of labeling things and categorizing things and, and anything like that. But I think what the humanists have done is kind of taken the general, what it means to be a good human, and have disassociated it from any religious stuff completely. And I think that's kind of where you're coming from, because you're not spiritual, or you don't believe in God. No. I think that's where you are.
It could be. But just thinking about the Old Testament bit, I was looking up the Ten Commandments, and it had never really, I'd never really appreciated before how freaking terrible they are. So let's talk about the Ten Commandments. Ten Commandments. What's the main of the big ones of the Ten Commandments that are important from your viewpoint, Alistair? If you know what they are.
Yeah, don't shag your mate's wife.
It doesn't actually say that. I'm just looking down the list. It does have "Thou shalt not commit adultery," which is number 7.
There you go.
And it also has one that's related to that. One that's related to that, which is "Thou shalt not covet." So you're not interested in, just because somebody else has got something, you don't feel as though you want that same thing.
I'm terrible at that. I think I covet a lot. I want everything that other people have got, and then I get it, and I don't want it anymore. I still want what they've got, even after that. So I
But
failed. What else?
I was expecting "Thou shalt not kill" to be close to the top of your
Yeah.
of the list. "Thou
Is
shalt
that
not
is
kill."
that not number is that not number one in the top
It's
10
ridiculous,
commandments?
but it's not number one. It's not number one. It's
Is it?
it's
What's number
way
one?
down the list. It's way down the list. It's number six.
Really?
Number six.
I've
What
lost
nonsense!
interest by number 6. I've probably killed someone by then even.
It's ridiculous. So number one.
Number
I
one.
mean, number one. It just gets to me when "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." Oh God, is that really? Is that really the most important thing? Really? I don't think so.
Okay.
Uh,
Good.
"Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image." So that's what that means, as I understand it, is that you shouldn't put other things on a pedestal as well. You shouldn't really like other things. What?
So, and is that number 2?
That's two.
That's number 2. Graven image.
Graven image.
What the hell? What's a graven image?
I don't know. It's just anyway. Then
That's a rubbish
and
commandment.
the
That should be
third one.
number 10.
The
That's
third
rubbish.
one, for God's sake, is "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord in vain."
Jesus.
Did you see?
Right. That's, okay. These are all a little bit about. So if I was God and I'd written I'm trying not to be blasphemous here, something like that. Although I've just blasphemed. Apologies. The first 3 are all about God, aren't they? It's a little bit me, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe that's right. Maybe they're you know what? These are my commandments. It's like my game, my rules. Number 1, I'm the only God. That kind of makes sense, doesn't it? I've got you. Okay, I've got you. So I've got you from. It's all falling into place for me now.
They're
Number
terrible.
1, I'm the only thing that you should be listening to. All right. Well, I'm going to read the whole of the rest of the other commandments now. So that kind of makes sense a little bit.
The one after "Don't take the Lord's name in vain" is "Remember the Sabbath day and to keep it holy." Now, it does occur to me that today we're doing this recording on a Sunday, and I know which is this really holy, and actually having a go at the Ten Commandments themselves on the Sabbath day.
Oh yeah. Oh no. I did go to church this morning though, so it's all about balance. I suppose. I remember when, I'm old enough to remember when all shops were shut on Sundays still, and it was like the UK was still a Christian country then, and then that's completely been eroded. I think to the point where Christians themselves will do things which are non-pious on a Sunday and get their cars washed, or go to Tesco's and buy cauliflower or whatever they want to do. So it's completely redundant. That's a rubbish commandment. Sorry.
I remember being.
People and God.
I used to live in Connecticut in the 90s, and I remember being shocked when I went into a supermarket or somewhere, and you couldn't buy wine on a Sunday, I think, or beer or anything, any alcohol. It was really quite odd. But there you go. So number 5 is "Honor thy father and thy mother." And you know what? As a tenant, I'm okay with that one. I mean, that's but
I don't feel like I need God to tell me that. I feel a little bit condescended to. Like my mum, my dad, I kind of do what I want, which is to be nice to them and honour them. I don't want to honour them. I probably will, maybe when they die. I'm not going to ring my mum up and honour her. Maybe I'm just being pedantic.
And now that I'm looking at this, I mean, maybe it's like when they were putting together the Ten Commandments, whoever did it, God. Maybe it's like when you're doing your track listing for your album that you're about to release. Maybe you don't want to have your best song first on the album. You want to bury it as the first song on the second side, or maybe it gets bigger and ends with something a big crescendo at the end.
Massive, yeah.
So
what's the last commandment?
After
an 8-minute rock opera of a commandment, is it?
Well, after number 6 is "Thou shalt not kill." Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Okay. thou shalt not bear false witness, which I'm all for, and
Yeah,
thou
all
shalt
good.
not covet, which I don't really. That kind of peters out his album at the end there. So it's all. Sorry, I've never bothered looking at these in detail before, and I think it's terrible. I think they could have. I mean, they had to carve these into stone tablets and then carry them down from a mountain. Like, I wouldn't have bothered with the first five. Like, you could have saved yourself a whole load of effort and time.
Chiselling,
Um, yeah, exactly. By not doing the first five
carrying.
and
Yeah.
just get straight to the meat of the thing. And
And possibly lob off the last one as well. That's a weak ending, isn't it? It's
yeah,
like
exactly.
getting to the end of The Queen is Dead by the Smiths, and you've got Some Girls Are Bigger Than Others. It's like, huh?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
Thou Shalt Not Cover is the Some Girls Are Bigger Than Others moment. So I think which I probably shouldn't have said because that feels like I'm kind of coveting my wife's neighbour or something. So I think we've got four. There are four commandments, right?
Yeah,
Honor your
yeah.
mum and
And
dad. Don't kill people. Don't commit adultery. Don't lie.
yeah,
Solid.
they're solid, I think. And it's a bit odd that there's no leeway on any of these, right? They're literally set in stone, literally. And but there must have been some small print chiseled into the back for extenuating
Asterix.
circumstances. Yeah,
Yeah.
like thou shalt not kill unless under certain specific circumstances. But yeah, and I get that they needed a number that wasn't seven because otherwise that would conflict with the seven deadly sins. And maybe they had the
Sins.
triumvirate, which is the God, the Holy Spirit, and whatever. And so it needed to be a different. It couldn't be seven. It couldn't be
What
three.
is six?
But it,
The devil has claimed ownership of the number six, so that's out.
that's right. Yeah,
Nine's kind of neither here nor there. You know, people don't want like nines. Not what's your favourite number? Nine. Eh? That's not right, is it?
isn't isn't nine isn't nine lucky in Asia? I don't know.
Everything's
Anyway,
lucky somewhere, but it's still, a bit crap in it.
so
Top heavy.
so but I think four. Yeah, four would be so.
Four,
It's the four commandments.
it's Phil's four commandments, which is good because it's got a nice bit of alliteration about it as well. Okay, well, I'm feeling this. I'm feeling it a lot. I don't want to attach any like religious spirituality to any value that I choose to live my life by. What kind of really irritates me is people who get to the end of their life and then they decide they're going to be a Christian. It's like, well, hang on a minute. Have you lived your life in the way that you wanted to, according in your own values so far? Well, probably not, but there's probably been something guiding you, right? And then I get to the end of it and I think, you know what? I'm hedging. I'm going to hedge. I'm going to go all in on God because I've just come back from the docks and they gave me a pretty bad diagnosis. So, I mean, that's nonsense, isn't it? People do that and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. But at least I've decided halfway through my life that I'm Christian, so I don't have to do it right at the very end. But yeah.
But you're not going to get 2 tickets to paradise, are you? Because you don't believe in God. I, I don't think.
I believe in paradise on earth, Alistair. That's what I.
Exactly. That's right. And yeah, you've got more than a couple of tickets to that gig. Cool. All right. There we go. I think we've sorted religion there in the last 20 or so minutes. I think we've decided the Old Testament's rotten. I think we've decided the New Testament is not particularly new, but there are things in there that we like. We've gone with Phil's 4 commandments, which I love, and we're both kind of good people, and we've only been slightly blasphemous, so we've kind of escaped with our lives. So yeah, I love your idea. I think you're probably a humanist without knowing it, but not that it really means anything to categorize anything at all, does it? So I don't. I can never remember who needs to fully bake ideas at the end of it. But if you're asking me, get it baked.
Yeah, I like this, and I think we covered the subject pretty well. There's things we didn't touch on, but we can always come back to that in future episodes. So it's very good. Let's fully bake it.
Well done, Phil. Nice one. Thank you to everyone who's out there in the ether. Click like, subscribe, and share. and let's help get the word out. And we'll be back with another similarly contentious, ridiculous, half-baked idea next week. Thank you. Bye.